I think initially when I was diagnosed in Afghanistan, I think initially what they had told me would happen would be, they told me that I'd be taking some medication, doing some treatment, and hopefully just riding it out and then feeling better. Like that I would be doing, different types of therapy and all of that. And hopefully it would have turned into more of an acute PTSD, which I could work through and then kind of get back on the job. Mm-hmm. And so that's initially what I was anticipating, until you realize really quickly that like there was no sleep happening, nothing was getting better, things were getting worse, suicide was starting becoming an option for me. Like it just was not good at all. And at this time I was really fortunate because I was dating my now husband, and without him I wouldn't be here, because he would answer the phone like right before I decided to, like he answered the phone one day right before I decided to kill myself. If he wasn't going to answer, that was it. He answered the phone. He always answers the phone. He doesn't matter. He always was there. And so he was the fail-safe in that. He came in and stepped in and helped me in ways that the government should have done. Our Canadian forces should have done, like looked after their people, So I'm grateful for that, but it was rough.
So you were in therapy.
Yeah, I'm still in therapy. I've been in therapy every week. The idea that I would go back to it was always the intention. Mm-hmm. Always the intention. So.
And then you got the call that you couldn't.
Yeah, well, what had happened is I had spent, at that point, they called me and said, we're going to try to retrain you at a range. And so they sent me to the range, and I was doing 2 half days a week there at the range, trying to just reintegrate. Mm-hmm. And then they asked me to go clear a grenade range. And when I did that, I had a really bad breakdown, like panic attack and flashback. And they realized right then and there that I was not going to be retrainable. The therapy wasn't working. The medications weren't working. It wasn't smart at that point to keep subjecting me to that, I think, is what in their mind was. So they decided to give me a 3B medical release. So I was medically discharged from the military. I was medically honorably discharged from the military. So I was discharged May 23rd, 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by then you were 22?
I was 22, yeah, by that point.
I'm hearing all of this. It's a really big thing. Like people, I think the thing that, so I also have had experience, I've had a diagnosis of clinical depression. I've had a diagnosis of complex PTSD from my childhood. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what I understand about PTSD and depression now has been the result of self-study and really trying to test theories, because there is no consensus on how really to treat depression. I've been on like a cocktail of drugs, and most recently coming off them felt like coming off like opioids. I don't know what that's like, but reading on forums, mm-hmm. lots of people describing what it was like. I related to that. For you, it sounds like just the experience of taking something that you believed to be your purpose and something that you committed your whole life to, and then having that be stripped from you, and then add on top of that all of the trauma and the things that you witnessed, and not having the proper protocol for that to be dealt with, and then being sent back, and now, okay, go live your life now.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. That's exactly what happens. It's how it works. They, depending on, I'm actually, this is the weird part, is I'm actually one of the lucky ones, because I was diagnosed while I was there. And when that happens, there's a paper trail. And because of that paper trail, I was able to get a support team out in British Columbia, where I live now. Mm-hmm. And the doctors that I have working with me now are the reason that I'm able to function somewhat and be in society somewhat and do, periodic things that I feel like I can do during the day. With that, I've been lucky because they hear me and see me every week. They check in on me. You know, they know, even if I'm telling them I'm fine, if I'm having a bad day, they know what's really going on. And so I'm one of the lucky ones. And to think that I still have to, like, I was recently cut off by Manulife SISIP 4 days before Christmas. My benefits were cut off, and I would be told that I wouldn't be receiving what I was owed any longer, because on social media, my life looked like I was doing really, really well. So in their eyes, instead of them taking my doctor, who had been spending the past 8 years keeping me alive, taking his word and his forms and his treatments, they basically said Google basically was like what they were going off. So I reported it to the news, because if I'm one of the lucky ones and I'm getting this kind of pushback from the insurance company, who is supposed to be working with the government to help veterans when they get out and reintegrate, and they're telling me that they're basing their research off of essentially social media, that's heartbreaking to me, because then what is it like for the person who got turned down by the government? What is it like for the person who has no family support, has no treatment, has no doctors? What is it like for those people? So that's why I've been that voice. I'm trying to be that voice. Because if these people are getting, the type of crap that they're getting, and the no support that they're getting, they're not providing them with anything. Like, a lot of people just get flat out told no. They reapply. I have a girlfriend who has reapplied multiple times, and I know for a fact that she has PTSD. She's been diagnosed, but because their paper trail didn't suit the way they wanted it, the government turned her down for support. Veteran Affairs turned her down like 3 different times.
Right.
But that's like the normal. So if I'm the lucky one who's got the support, and I still struggle the way I struggle with getting, the funding I believe I'm owed, or the the treatment or whatever, if I'm getting all of that with the team I have, what are these people not getting?
Exactly. That breaks my heart to hear. Also, how many people can sort of just get a segment on the doctors on primetime TV to talk about that story?
I've been very, very fortunate with some of the people that have fallen into my lap by coincidence, or by whatever you want to call it, luck or the universe or whatever. But I've been really fortunate with the people I've had around me. A lot of these people have just kind of stepped up and taken me under their wing, and really helped to, drive the cause of mental health, and what I'm trying to do now as, an advocate, but as a business owner and an author and all of these things. I'm trying to use that little bit of extra support I was given, and I'm trying to maximize it and spread it as far and wide as I can, so that these other people don't have to keep suffering in the way that they are,
right,
and making suicide the only option.